Is the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago finally listening to me? Has he finally taken my advice? Yesterday, I believe it was, I gave him a stern warning about the tone of his voice when he makes his encouragements to the population. And I see today there's a change. So possibly, possibly he's an avid listener. Sometimes I wonder about that. I wouldn't doubt that probably some of the more viewed ones have reached places I don't know, but sometimes I wonder, I'm here sitting talking to my camera, and how fast sometimes some of these videos and some of the content reaches, and does it reach to a place where people who can actually make a decision and make a change hear it and hear something that they can do some action with? I would hope so, at least. But there seems to be some change from the Prime Minister, and I'm grateful for that. I think it's important, just as you criticize and critique when there seems to be shortcomings, that you admit when there seems to be things going according to plan and seem to be improvements in certain areas. And certainly his new tone was a lot more paternal, even though I believe I was the one who said I'm not looking for a parent in a politician, but still, you're looking for someone who has the political decency. You want a certain image at the head of your country because it just helps. People function in a certain way. When you have a certain image at the head of your country that people can look at, there's a different way they react. And if that image at the head of the country is one that seems to be turning around and pouring spite and bitter words down on the population, then it doesn't work out all that well. And on top of this, though, as the Prime Minister seemed to improve on his tone and his delivery, it seems like the opposition is spinning top in mud. The opposition voted to abstain in the vote on the state of emergency on Wednesday. And in my video on that vote, I asked the question, what exactly does the abstained vote mean? And I wasn't the only one asking that. Many people asked the same question. What exactly do you mean when you say you abstained from this vote? Why are you abstaining? What's the purpose of the abstain vote? What's that supposed to signal to us? They said they are against the extension of the state of emergency. So then why not vote no? If you are against it and you are in Parliament, they ask you what your vote is, you abstain from the vote instead of saying no. I don't see how that adds up sensibly. I think it's a cop-out, just as I saw a comment saying that they believe the SOE is lazy governing, and I kind of agree with that. I think the SOE is, as I said before, a large plaster to cover over a wide array of sores, hoping that it does the job. I think that part of the SOE has that part in. But what the opposition doing, I find even more cowardly. You're not even in a position of real power. You're in a position as a check and balance to the power. And even in that position, you're afraid to make clear decisions and clear statements because you don't want to rock the boat either side. I don't think that actually works. Not walking on either side, not choosing one side of the road, has you walking in the center of the road, and I believe you're more likely to be struck in the center of the road than on either side. That's just the way I see it. And the final thing I'll be talking about today is a conversation I saw going on for the last few days, and one that I'm quite interested in. The conversation on the quote-unquote right to bear arms in Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad does not have that right, but there has been some conversation recently about how we face the opportunity we have to own a firearm in Trinidad and Tobago and how we deal with that, and if we can possibly deal with it in such a way that it could work around to being as such a thing similar to a right. Well, you'd see if I'm making sense when we get to that article, but let's start off now with the Prime Minister and his upgraded tone. PM pleads with parents again. Threat of Delta variant coming into population. If you haven't clicked that like button yet, please do click that like button. As I always say, it helps. And do drop that comment. The comment, I believe, is the strongest indicator to the algorithm. So tell me what you think about the content I'm speaking about. Tell me what you think about the news of the day as we talk. And give me some new ideas of topics you think may be interesting. as I've said in some of the more recent contemplations, I do check my messages, the emails, the DMs, the comments. I see the interesting things, I see the funny things. I see some comments where you see two people going at each other for quite some time, and it's kind of entertaining to watch. So yes, I do read them, and if you have something that you'd like me to look into and you think it would be of interest to me, don't be afraid to send it. And if you are not subscribed yet, if you are not a subscriber, please do click that subscribe button. There are new videos coming. So let's get into it. Prime Minister Dr. Kieth Rowley has made another plea for parents to take their children to get vaccinated against COVID-19, saying he is worried about the Delta variant of the virus. Rowley's plea came hours after the Ministry of Health confirmed 2 more cases of the more infectious variant in Trinidad and Tobago. The Delta variant was detected in 2 nationals who had returned to TNT from the United States and Guyana. Well, Guyana, I hope they are looking out for that. Now, I haven't yet checked that. That's probably a lapse on my part. I'll see if I can see how things are going in Guyana right now when it comes to the Delta strain. That would be interesting. But we have 2 new Delta strains in there. They were the 4th and 5th confirmed cases of the variant in TNT. All cases were people coming into the country who were placed in quarantine. I'm still wondering, with some of these cases, when people come in on an airplane, on an aircraft, and they have this Delta strain, is it that they alone have it? Don't any of them spread it? Almost all the cases seem to be 1 person on a flight, 2 people on a flight, and they seem to have gotten it from wherever they came. Is there no spread on the flight? Now, not that I want to see spread from the flight, I'm just wondering. It's a wonder I am having. But speaking during the commissioning ceremony of the newly constructed Malabar Government Primary School yesterday afternoon, Rowley stressed how serious the Delta variant is and warned that there is a possibility of the variant getting into the general population. The Delta variant is more vigorous than the original. It is killing more people. It is more infectious, and it is causing havoc outside of Trinidad and Tobago, he said. Because nobody has said that if you are vaccinated, you cannot be infected by the Delta variant. And of course, we can't quarantine every person who comes into the country. That is too difficult. What I am saying is that there is a possibility and some element of likelihood that the Delta virus could get into Trinidad and Tobago. There is nothing that we are doing in all the things that we are doing that we can say confidently and sensibly that we are immune to that variant. I like how he's speaking here. Let that be said. I find this is some of the honesty we needed all around during the pandemic. The honesty to speak to the population and let them know honestly, okay, realistically, we are not going to get this idealistic thing. This is the reality of the situation. And this is why we need this set of actions. I like this. We do everything to put a screen between us and it, and so far that screen is working, but we cannot guarantee. I am concerned and I am worried that the Delta variant could get into Trinidad and Tobago and meet a largely unvaccinated population. He made an appeal directly to parents. The new variant is not with us now, but I don't know when it might be with us. But what I would like is if it ever gets into this country and starts running around our population, that our young ones are vaccinated and are therefore much better able to evade the threat of illness and damage, he said. Because young people who get over are showing significant signs of damage to their bodies. Their organs are damaged even though they have recovered from the clinical conditions of the virus. You don't want that to be your child, okay? That's a better tone, Dr. Rowley. That's the appeal to a parent. Appeal from that point of view. And as he's saying that about the long term, there's a proper term for it, but it's slipping me right now. The knock-on conditions from COVID, the long-haul conditions. That's the term. Long-haul conditions of COVID. And it seems like, especially with the Delta strain and even in young people, there are some long-haul conditions that some people aren't really accounting for until afterwards. And I saw this argument for the jab, for the vaccine. And tell me if this makes sense to you. Basically, COVID-19 is going to, if it is not already endemic, meaning it is not going anywhere. Everyone at some point in time is going to be exposed to the virus, generally speaking. So, the two options you have are being exposed to the virus while vaccinated or being exposed to the virus while unvaccinated. And if you're talking about managing the risk of both of them, even young people who are exposed to the virus when unvaccinated are having higher chances of the same risks that we know now with the jabs that are possible, the swelling of the heart possibility, the blood clots, etc., etc. There are some negative side effects that are known, especially with the mRNA vaccines. But almost all of those negative side effects are much more prevalent in the virus itself. So if you get the virus itself, the same side effects that you are worried about with the vaccine are much more likely with the virus. And being that either way, you are almost surely going to be exposed to the virus, wouldn't it be reasonable to say it would be better to be exposed to the virus while vaccinated? Tell me what you think about that reasoning. Tell me if it makes sense. Do you agree with it? But moving on now from the Prime Minister, as I said, UNC, to our opposition party, that gives me no end of disappointment, really and truly. UNC gives no reason for not voting no. The opposition UNC has maintained that it does not support the government's extended state of emergency. The UNC made this statement yesterday amid questions on social media as to why its MPs abstained rather than voted against government's motion to extend the SOE in the parliament on Wednesday. What the UNC went on to say is that our proof that we were against this was that the opposition leader said to people, go out and honk your horns and show your displeasure. Now, that is so ludicrous and ridiculous that the person who is sitting in the parliament of our country, the building where we have allotted the people inside of there, we've allotted them with the authority to make laws and rules and policies for the country. And you can debate in there and say nearly what you want, and you don't even have to face the legal consequences for it. That's how we set up that building. And instead of show the protest in there with their words and their votes, they're saying, no, I want you to honk your horn on the streets, which will do absolutely nothing, while we vote to abstain instead of voting no. I don't understand that. Now, I'm not saying that I believe the vote on the state of emergency necessarily should have been no, but if they are saying that they believe the state of emergency should not be extended, why not vote no? Why just abstain? This is a quote coming from the UNC. The UNC did not support the extension of the state of emergency, does not support the extension of the state of emergency, and will not support the extension of the state of emergency. This is entirely on Kieth Rowley and the PNM. Now, was it yesterday? When was it I said that? That a lot of the opposition speak like they're always speaking to their most ardent of supporters. That whole statement there sounds like the closing statement of a campaign trail speech. But you're not on the campaign trail, and the people you're speaking to are not all your supporters. Please, please. Dr. Rowley listened to me when I spoke to him last. Hopefully, someone could get this one as a message out to the opposition, and maybe tomorrow when I check the news, it would say that the opposition has changed their tone too. That's my hope. Now, before I end, I'd like to go through just a little bit of this news that has been going around for the last week or so, well, part of the last week, where the firearm user's license came under the microscope, as it were. The article coming from the Newsday that has most of the activities, most of the events, is ex-acting COP Commissioner of Police Cop Williams no right to bear arms in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, I'm not going some of my content. But what he is saying, and I actually do agree with it, is that if someone meets the criteria stipulated in the Constitution, then it becomes, in essence, a right. Now, how it is phrased, it's actually a privilege, and I disagree with that. I know some people disagree with this, many people disagree with this, but I'm closer to the rednecks over in the US. I believe I have the right to defend myself with whatever is just about the top weapon that anyone else is using. And I think if we look at Trinidad's current crime situation, we could see some of the evidence that the gun protection way doesn't work. Just the police alone have guns, or are supposed to have guns, actually ends up being the criminals and the police have the guns. Only the citizens who are interested in obeying the laws are the ones without the guns. And I believe that's what the commissioner was getting at. The citizens who are obeying the law, if they are within that scope that we have decided should be allowed to defend themselves that way, then allow them that opportunity. That's my view. Tell me, what do you think? That's all I have for now. I hope you were entertained and informed. Don't forget to click that like button and drop a comment if you have something to say, and do subscribe if you are not subscribed yet. And I'll see you again probably Monday for the next episode.
And you feel the music rising with the tide.